Good evening and welcome to the Immersive Experience. I'm your guy, Desi Lou, and we have Chels J joining us again today because we are revisiting the father wound. The reason why we're revisiting this is because I do feel like there's way more that we can expound upon, way more in depth that we can get. I feel like the last time we just kind of brushed over the surface, and if I'm being honest, I think most topics about fathers, dad, that kind of shit, like it don't never sit right with me. I just be like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to talk about my daddy. Like the hell, like, because I think like it's a real thing though. But Chels, let me ask you, what is a father wound? And I know we asked this on the last podcast, but from your perspective, if you could give us again what you believe a father wound is.
A father wound to me, and this is just by experience for me, is where you have that pain or that rooted issue um, centering around your dad, like whether he was absent or emotionally unavailable. By definition, a father wound is a trauma experienced by one who has an absent father. And an absent father could be physically absent or indeed like emotionally unavailable.
And they could also be abusive, negative, or overly critical of your
Yes,
character.
I mean it's so much more than like you said that meets the eye. It's deep,
Yeah.
but just on like a surface type level, that's what it is. But there is so much more because I know I mentioned last week that most guys when they hear that a female has daddy issues or father wounds, then that means she's just jumping from bed to bed, and it doesn't always look that way. So of course it's so much more in depth than what is normally discussed.
I could tell you that even for me, my father wound looked really, really different from a lot of people's because for me, it was always the ideal of my biggest fear was being hurt. Because if a person who had made me could leave me, well, what the fuck? I like maybe I don't meet expectations. I'm not good enough.
Oh, let's
Some
talk about it.
I felt like I was undeserving of love. I feel like there's a lot of things that can come with there was anger early on in my childhood. I was probably like 13. I had a lot of aggression, a lot of a lot of anger, and I think like I don't think most people. I didn't know what I was dealing with back then. You
Of
know,
course, because it's not discussed. And we came from a lot of single family homes as well. A lot of times it was mostly just a mom, and sometimes it was a mom and a step parent. So, family dynamics look different, but that father wound doesn't really seem to sit in. For me, it didn't really sit in until I was in my 30s.
I think that one thing we have to understand are our parents are the first people that we learn to love. So I
Yes,
feel like we take a lot from them. It's a lot of cycles that start with our parents. A lot of
most
epi-
definitely. And that's where
yeah.
transgenerational trauma comes in, or the intergenerational trauma comes in.
Mhm.
Because I mean it's deep rooted. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I want to be the one who kind of ends the cycle of these things continuing with my children.
I feel that. Can you tell me what kind of damages were caused by your father one?
Oh, a lot, but one of the most highlighted is emotions. I don't deal well with emotions. I mean, it seems as if I was, how do you say, prone to like, betrayal, or I had to accept betrayal as a part of the, you know what I'm saying, a part of the story or part of the experience. But I didn't want to be betrayed because I mean, you're supposed to be that person that hey, he was supposed to be the person who supported me, who loved me unconditionally. I mean, love isn't supposed to have conditions, but it's dang sure not supposed to have conditions when it's your parents. Like, um, a mistrust of authority figures, mostly males. I always saying I didn't want a relationship. Don't want to be married. Don't want to be tied down. And as a Libra, I'm very liberal. So one of the things that I want to be able to do is, be free and be liberated. I don't want to be tied down. And I think there's kind of a coping mechanism for me to kind of keep people at a bay. Um, I don't trust a lot. I'm afraid of being vulnerable. The fact that I feel like I can talk on here to you is crazy because I don't do that at all. Like I don't open up to people like I'm normally the person who people come to kind of give me all of their, vulnerabilities where they feel safe and heard and all that good stuff. But I'm not normally the person to just open up a whole lot. So I must be really ready to, just finally walk away from it because I've never discussed this at all with anybody.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. One
But
thing.
a little exclusive.
Yeah, okay, listen. Right here on the immersive experience, we have Chels J exclusive today. Like,
Oh yes, indeed. You better
we're
tune
gonna be
in
diving into her
too.
father wound, looking at.
Oh yes. Because catch me while I am in this space because oh baby, it's only up from here.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, one thing I wanted to see, I could definitely say that my father wound caused low self esteem in a lot of areas. I do. It was hard for me to trust men. I did have that because one thing that my dad used to do was call and tell us that he would be coming to pick us up, and then
Ooh,
he wouldn't show up. So
ooh,
I feel like that made it easier for me to accept men who would
girl.
come in and just kind of like, oh, okay, I didn't get your gift today, but I'll get it next week. And I'm hanging on to the words, which is how I learned to be more accepting of words than action. So my father wound helped me understand that. There was a lot of things that stemmed from that. Even like I talked about last week when he went out and he raised an entire family. The children
Like
wasn't
if
his.
I didn't
Yeah.
know any better, I would think we had the same dad because yes, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I battled a lot of anger, depression, anxiety. I think most times it made me real rigid. I set a lot of
And
rigid
then that
boundaries.
that's a thing that's not allowed in like most black families. And sometimes I've heard people from all different backgrounds say that they're not allowed to be depressed. Like I think that is
Yeah.
like the craziest shit I've ever heard. Like I mean, I'm sure there is far more crazy stuff, but the fact that you're not allowed to be depressed because why?
Yeah. I
But
think
okay,
that
that's gonna be a taboo talk for us later on.
well,
But
what I was gonna say is that depression is really a thing that a lot of men that I run into because I talk to a lot of men. I talk to a lot of men. Obviously, they be thinking, "Oh, this is a good time to pour my heart out and tell you everything I've been having going on in my life." And a lot of men that I have talked to have always let me know that that wait, hold on. Ajna said it is kind of like having the same dad. Did y'all fathers have relationships with their fathers? My dad had a relationship with his dad. What he would used to say was that his dad was very, very militant, and I feel like a lot of guys want to grow up and be like their fathers. A lot of people want to grow up and be like their parents. So it's things that, and we do
ooh,
that unintentionally, anyways. You'll mimic the relationships that your parents had, and you won't even notice it. Because you'll think, well, I'm doing it differently, but you're causing the same effect. I do not like that people have this ideal that just because we had two different experiences means that we didn't go through the same thing.
girl, listen, cause I mean, I used to hold on to that man every word. I mean,
Yeah.
he never had any actions, and I noticed that for me, even though I've always said I refuse to be like my dad, I would notice that I was like a lot of talk and I wasn't a whole lot of action. Now, as far as to answer Aisha's question, my dad, since I didn't really have a bond or a relationship with my dad, I'm kind of unsure about his relationship with his dad. I do know that his dad only passed a few years back, maybe about 10, 11 years ago. Um, but now I'm not really sure how their relationship was. I didn't really know my granddad like that. Somebody had to point him out in the store to me. They were like, "Good, nigga, your granddaddy," and I was like, "Who?" Because I only
Okay.
know my mom's dad.
Yeah.
So for me, and then I can't. Ooh, another thing. As a female, I look just like my dad.
Me too, girl. Oh my
I hear
God.
that all the time. They be like, dang, like complete strangers. They be like, dang,
Yeah.
you look just like that dude I know. And I
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like, what's his name? And I be like, and they be like, Willie. And I be like, yep, that's him.
Yeah. I will
But
say
I
that I
started telling people to stop telling me that, like, because why the fuck do you want to keep idolizing that I look like a man who has
girl,
done shit for me?
let me tell you something, Chills.
It
I
kept,
had to learn to accept everything that was him, that wasn't him. Because contrary to popular belief, that's half of you. You half him, half your mama, and then it's some of your uniqueness mixed up in there. Now, however you decide
yeah,
to navigate that shit, it's the problem. You said it last week. The problem is we have a problem accepting what we don't know. And I don't know my daddy. So I can't, it's hard for me to accept shit when people be like, oh, your daddy used to be like, bitch, I don't know that. I don't know what he did. I
I
don't
don't know
know.
nothing about that dude. Like, me and one of my siblings, discussed, about our relationship because he wanted to, just kind of touch up on how my relationship was and if I was willing to give it another shot. And I kind of, talked to him and explained some things because my dad has always said he wanted us to get together and take another family photo. And I just kind of feel like, dude, we hadn't even gotten on one accord yet. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really feel comfortable, like, putting on a mask and being like all fake, not really being authentic because we
Yeah.
don't have this relationship that you want us to smile for the camera for. You know what I'm saying? So you can
Hmm.
capture us as if we are a happy, healthy, loving family, and we're not.
Right.
We're
But
very dysfunctional.
yeah, but I think that's a lot of different things that happen within the community of communication. I think a lot of people come back into something thinking like, oh, okay, it already happened, and they don't want to talk about it. Because talking about the past, what I've understand with talking to people who refuse to understand is that if I talk about the past with you and you can't see where I'm coming from because you want me to see the new person that you is, you're gonna be I'm gonna get frustrated with you.
Right, because accept that accountability, like take
And they don't
responsibility
be
that
ready for
even though
that.
it was in the past, it happened.
But they don't
And
be
I
ready
mean,
for that.
it'd be hard to accept that sometimes. I ain't even gonna sit here and cap as these young
Yeah.
people be saying, because I ain't even gonna cap.
You can't make them ready for something that they not ready
And
for.
I had to realize that, and that was hard because people keep hollering, "Oh, I'm 45, I'm 56,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, but you still immature as hell. You might as well be 13.
Yeah, I believe that. And you know what? I will say that that is funny that you say that it's like we almost had the same fathers because I feel like we have a lot of the same qualities as what happened is when we start dealing with men because questions that I ask myself when I did it, like poor choices in romantic partners, different things like that. Like I replicate like I didn't have relationships. I was always like, oh, we just friends or we just like we cool
Right,
and
like
shit.
you at a bay.
Yeah.
Cause I
Cause
don't
like
want you getting in here catching feelings, and then I start liking you, and you know what I'm saying. You turn out to be like my damn dad or something. Now I gotta cut you off, and like I can't talk to a dude who got the same name as my dad. None of that.
oh really? Oh yeah.
No.
That
If a dude named Willie, he can't even more talk to me. And I'm gonna
dang,
tell
that's
you
crazy.
what's funny. And it has nothing to do with the father wound, but sometimes when I'm watching and I rarely watch TV.
Hmm.
Oh, here it is. Great. But when I do, I kind of try to take something in from it. And so one of the questions was, what are some not so positive reflections that you see in those you're connected to? And this was a journal question for me. I didn't get too deep into it, but the fact
Hmm.
that you were just saying how we can kind of see those reflections, and even though the experiences weren't that positive, I actually like the fact that I'm able to see myself being represented in somebody else because sometimes it lets you know and it confirms that you're not alone, you're not by yourself, and so there was just a personal intake for me.
I feel that. Do you think that you asking yourself that question, did you see how you perpetuated the cycles of abuse?
I definitely can see these.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, okay. I know what I wanted to really ask you about because last week you said that you figured out your father wound through astrology, right? So
yeah.
like I'm a Cancer. My moon is Taurus and my rising is Cancer. And so for me, I feel like everything that happened to me when my mama and them got a divorce, when my daddy didn't show up, when my mama would always be like, "Hey, call your daddy," or do. When we did try to rekindle our relationship, but that went totally. it just was one of them things. Like if you're not putting, I got frustrated because like if you're not putting forth the effort, then and then I was just like, at some point in life, I was just kind of like, you know what, fuck it, it is what it is. But
It is, and you try to walk away from it before you
yeah,
actually work on it, and it seems like the more well for me, the more it crossed my mind. Like if I didn't actually deal with it and address it, like I'd be like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna cut the relationship off, and then as soon as I see him in the grocery store, we back chopping it up again. And then what really kind of drew the line for me one day was when he came over, like unexpected.
right.
Like, oh no, we got to talk about that because I'm at home, I'm comfortable in my space with the family that I've created, and I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? Being a guy that trying to be a grandfather to my kids, and your ass ain't even been a dad,
Right.
and I don't want you popping up. It's
Okay.
rude.
That part. But I feel like it was a lot of things that I had to move past. Because to me, it was like, well, if you're willing to put the work for it, then I'm willing to put the work forth back. One thing that he helped me realize is like, if your foot not on the line and you not running when they say start, I'm gonna exit this race. I will forfeit. Like I don't do one-legged race. If you're not tied to me, then we not doing
Man, it it's so crazy. I mean, like really, because I don't know. It's crazy. All of it.
it. Yeah. I believe that. I think it's a lot to navigate, especially emotionally, and being
Ooh, I suck with those. Well, I did suck. I'm doing a whole lot better. I can say that I'm doing a whole lot better emotionally now than I ever have. And
Mhm.
even like today, I found myself because I don't really feel where we've been kind of inconvenienced and moving around. So I'm kind of like not used to that. So it's draining for me. And then on top of that, I'm not feeling well. And then today, my kids was just, I mean, bickering back and forth. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna close myself in this room and just take me a nap. And so when I woke up from my nap, I was like, okay, now you need to talk to your kids because you left things kind of ugly and chaotic. You weren't your best self. And so I called them in my room and I let them know that, I'm feeling kind of offbeat and it's not their fault. And I wanted to apologize because as a parent and as a mom, I was wrong, for losing my cool. But I told them what I did wrong and I let them know why I was frustrated. And we kind of just talked it out. And some people be like, why do you talk to your kids like they're adults? Because one day they will be. And I don't
Right.
want for them to be emotionally damaged adults, you know what I'm saying, and creating lives, generations of their own, and then they're passing on their emotional, damage. So
Do
I
you?
wanted to apologize and let them know I was wrong.
I feel that. I do have a question. Do you feel like that is because of your father wound and you feeling like, oh, I don't want to be like my parents. I want to be. Is it something that you consistently strive to do, or is it a part of your healing that you understand? Like, hey,
It's a little bit of both. Uh,
okay,
yeah, I added an R in there. It's a little bit of both. I said it because I don't want to be like my parents. I
yeah,
don't want to repeat those same broken cycles, those same, you know what I'm saying? Not, how do you say those cycles? Like they're cycles, but I don't want them to become my life. You know what I'm saying? Because I
right.
want it to be a dead end. I want it to end here with me. Working on myself and passing this knowledge on to my children. And then
Okay.
I also don't. I want to make sure that it's a part of my healing because I know that by me healing my wounds and by me, and one of the hardest things was accepting that the trauma doesn't go away. It's just that we're learning healthy coping mechanisms to help get by. So I wanted to make it a part of my healing journey so I don't, relapse. And I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I have definitely done so. So even when you master a certain thing, I mean, there's still some challenges and some hiccups.
Yeah.
Being open about it, being real and honest about it has been very therapeutic for me. Because, like I mentioned, I don't really open up a lot. I'm normally the person that people go to. I'm not really the person who shares my life story with nobody.
Right. Now, for the women listening or for the men listening, what we said earlier basically was what a father wound was. And then, so right now, I want to say the same thing that a father wound is. That's how you know if you have a father wound. So, what you're asking yourself was my father frequently absent, emotionally absent, or abusive? Was he highly critical or constantly disapproving of your actions, choices, and behaviors? Did they, when you did something bad, did they withhold food from you or love from you or other essentials as a form of punishment? And then you can even ask yourself, was he physically abusive? And this goes vice versa. It could be a mother thing, it could be a father thing. It does
Yes,
not just have to be a one-sided thing. Understand that both genders can cause trauma to a child. Just because
indeed.
you thought you was
Indeed.
the best their mother, what, because you was
Hey,
there
and
for
some
your
people,
kids.
like I mentioned last week, fail to realize that they have a father wound because there's one lady that I spoke with in particular, and she was saying that her father wound looked different because her dad was actually involved. But then when she thought about it on the emotional end, he wasn't really, you know what I'm saying? It would be like
Yeah.
he would highlight her out in public, and then behind closed doors, it was a totally different thing. They would give her like money, cars, clothes, you know what I'm saying? Because they
Mhm.
weren't really like spending time. But he was an active dad. I don't know how they worked, but it sounded kind of crazy. But anyway,
I think it's a lot of different scenarios
it
though.
looks different.
Yeah, because
It's,
I had a
it's a
friend,
lot.
she had both her parents in the home. And for her, it was really a thing of where everybody had to tiptoe around her daddy, because he could go off at any moment. So now,
Ah,
how you think that's going to affect you in your relationships? Because what I've been taught is to tiptoe around men. So what I know is that I never hung around men who made me tiptoe. They challenged me at every single turn.
and have you okay? For me, one of the things that made me kind of also want to tone down a little bit
Hmm.
was I would always hear from like guys like, "Girl, you so cool. You feel like one of the homies."
Oh, really? Hmm.
And so I was a tomboy coming up. I wasn't really girly, and even now I'm not really girly. Like I find I love to be comfortable. So you might catch me in a pair of sweats and a t-shirt. You might catch me in tights and a little custom t-shirt. Nothing ever too dressy. I don't like going places where I have to dress up. I have locks, so a lot of people be like, "How long do you go in between the retweets? 3 to 6 months." I do not care for the well kept or the tight retwist look. So yeah, I'm still very masculine in some things, and
Yeah.
I've learned to be comfortable with it but
Hmm.
it hurt me when this guy that I like told me that he was like, "Girl, you so cool, like." And I feel like we can just hang out like niggas, and I was like, "What?"
I think that I could say that in my earlier years, it was hard for me to embrace my womanliness, the curves, the sexy of me, like all of that. And it was hard for me to embrace it because I was afraid of rejection. That was a me thing though. It was kind of like, okay, well, if I dress myself down, if I don't gotta, you ain't gonna want to talk to me. One thing I understood, like if a man wants you, baby, guess what? He gonna
It
come
was,
get you no
and I
matter
was
where the
just
fuck
about to
you
say,
at.
for me, it was the opposite. And I had have a friend from childhood, and she was very busted. Me, I have a very small chest, so I mean it's almost like non-existent. They didn't get the memo that I had, became an adult. So anyway, but on the backside, I'm winning. So
Yeah.
I've always been curvy, but I wouldn't really like, make draw attention to it. And my friend girl used to love to show her curves.
Yeah, I ain't never really cared for attention because it's like, okay, I get this
Yeah,
attention.
it's
You just gonna
crazy.
disappoint me anyway, so might as well.
And so the dude was hollering at me, and I had on like some lounge pants and a t-shirt and like a pair of slippers because it was
Hmm.
early as heck on a Saturday morning. Why we were out so early, I have no idea. But she had on like a little two-piece set. They were pushing her boobs up. I mean, it was extremely tight. So I mean, everything was sitting out. I mean, there was nothing hidden. And so when the dude stopped, and he was like, "Hey, so what's up?" And so I was like, the dude talking to you. He was like, nah, I ain't talking to her. I'm talking to you. And so for
Okay.
me, it's kind of like, oh, okay, no, not really. And he was like, you know, no, I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the
Why? You wasn't used to getting attention?
no, I've always gotten it, but even now, and it's crazy because even now as an adult, I can't stand when dudes do that little cat call. You know, that when they be like, "Hey, scare me," I can't stand it.
I love it. Cause admire
No,
me. Admire the woman I am. Talk to me
that
about me,
mind me, but
bitch.
come on, I got way more than you cat calling.
Girl, that don't matter because I ain't gonna give you the
Yes,
time of day
that's
anyways. But
right.
thank you.
I'm not and see then they get to and I would rather a man just say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what I'm saying? A little formal,
Yeah.
and I would speak back because I'm not a stuck up bitch.
But we can't expect. You know what? It be our expectations. We can't
Yeah,
expect that from
that's
everybody.
true.
So I just take it how it come. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Sure.
don't really matter how they sound and how they looking. For me, like I say all the time, I don't have an expectation of people. I have an expectation of myself. So you
Ask
can
what
come
my
in,
daughter said,
huh?
what all the granddad is it. I was just reading this comment. I didn't see it. I was wondering why you seen the question and I didn't.
From Ajna.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to go over to comments. I do want to ask you, how is healing possible from the father wound?
Oh my God. I can only share what has worked for me thus far, and
Hmm.
as you can see, I'm still very much on the journey. But what I have noticed, what I did for me, I wrote a letter. I did some moon work. So I worked with the full moon and the new moon. Under the full moon, what I did was I wanted to banish those things. So kind of rid myself of those things. And first I started noticing like little small traits or certain actions that I would do that would remind me of him, and they weren't necessarily in alignment with what I was working towards. Which is the ultimate goal is for me to, you know what I'm saying, be completely healed or as healed as possible from this father wound so that I will not pass this on, continue passing this on to my children so that the future generations will be able to identify these early so that, you know, and hopefully by then we'll have some healthy families. Like, you know, we'll have families that are sticking together, families that are supporting each other,
Hmm.
where the men are, I mean, there are a percentage of fathers who are around for their children. I'm not saying that there's not, but you know, for most of us, it was like a single parent home, or maybe even a step parent in the home, or for some, they may have stayed with their dads. But I'm hoping for my generation, my children, and so forth, that hey, you know, we have both parents in the home. They're active, they're attentive. You know what I'm saying? They're meeting those emotional needs not only for their children's sake, but for their own sake as well. Because for me, where it went started going haywire is when I wasn't giving myself enough time to kind of focus on different things. I would become super focused on one particular element, and then I would just that's all I would do. So I'm giving a lot of attention either to my family or I'm giving a lot of attention to like what I'm working on behind the scenes or you know, just super focused on something. And a lot of times it took away from me being active in different parts. So I'm hoping that, you know, by me healing this wound for me, that I be able to inspire somebody else to do the same. But journaling helped. Actually taking some action and doing something, you know. So like I
Hmm.
said, actively doing something works for me. For some people, they just need to write it because their intention is extremely powerful, and they could just go based off that. But I had to put that work in because my word is definitely not my bun all the time. Because I say I'm gonna do something, and turn around and not do it. So
Right.
I had to be action oriented. So, working with the moon, using those intentions, positive affirmations, journaling, having like therapy sessions, accepting and acknowledging what it was, and you know, just putting that work in. Really, the inner work is definitely helping.
So
And I can't.
basically, you can't what? I'm sorry.
Oh no, okay. I came to kind of start acknowledging what it was when I was doing some shadow work,
Hmm.
and shadow work was kind of when it got to the father wound, it kind of held me up a little bit because I was like, dang, this feel personal.
Yeah.
I feel like those questions were pulled out of my subconscious and were made known to me, and I was like, oh no, I don't like that. So I took a break. And for anybody who may be listening and they're doing shadow work and they get to a point in that shadow work journey or session where it becomes a lot and it's overwhelming, I definitely say stop, kind of, give yourself some time to reflect on it, see why that tripped you up, and that's what led me to starting to heal mine.
Hmm.
That shadow work.
So basically, what you had to do was address the issue initially. That'll be the first thing to
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
and then find proactive ways to go about solving the issue that you have addressed, that you have found, that you have pulled up out of yourself. And whatever works for you is clearly what works for you, whether it is journaling or going through astrology and birth charts, different things. You can find a lot of different things through astrology, birth charts, all types of things. One thing is what they always say is take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If it's something that you find or you're reading and it resonates with you, take that, dwell on it. Find places where you could think of something else to help you navigate that. So Chelsea, I have one last question for you, and that last question is, what did you learn from your father?
Oh, that was the hard part. Because it was only recently, Desilu, that I started to actually see it as a lesson and not as a punishment. So I'm actually still reflecting on it, and I know that I can find it. And this is for anybody who chooses to go look and see. But Saturn also deals with like lessons and challenges and how you kind of deal with them, or where you need to be more um, structured in your life. And
Mhm.
so Saturn's placement, the house placement, and things like that. But so I'm actually still reflecting on mine, and I journaled about it, but I'm not done yet. So I want to make sure that when I give you that answer, it's in full context.
Okay. All right.
But
Well,
I'm definitely just now, like I said, realizing as an adult that it's not not a punishment, but something that I
yeah.
need to learn from. But if I had to just, not really throw something out there, but just from my perspective, as just now, I'm kind of thinking about it here and now in the moment. Just how to be, because one of my greatest fears, I think, is becoming like my parents and not being active or attentive. I've actually fallen in love with being a homeschool mom. Um, I'm creating moments with my children that my family was not able to give to me, and in one of the ways that I don't want to become my parents. I think something that I learned from my dad is to be a more aware parent, to be
Mm.
more focused on my children, to focus more on my own self, because I think if my dad would have focused more on himself, just like self care, soul care,
Mhm.
he will probably be able to address those issues that he has. And there may have been a chance where we could kind of, exist in the same space without any, how do you say, negative energy exchange.
Right.
So yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. That's my lesson, and like I said, it's just for now. But
You'll find more because I found a whole bunch of shit down at the end of that tunnel. I mean, I
I
had called
don't.
him. I was on the phone with him the like, and I was telling him basically I had told him I told him I said I appreciate your absence. I appreciate everything you weren't, everything you were. You don't understand how you made me. And wholeheartedly, you don't understand how you made me because you never took the opportunity to get to know me, and that is okay. I'm okay with it. It's fine. I don't fault you for being the person that you was at 25. I don't fault you for trying to figure your life out. And even though you had a child and hadn't got your shit together yet, listen, I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying, like
Wait, like I tried that. My grandma died. My mom's mom, and
mhm.
that was like a really heavy period for me. So about 12 years ago, my grandma passed, and my dad, like I said, not very active. but he chose to show up at my grandma's funeral, and
Mm.
I took it extremely hard. And so I'm on the back row, and you know, he reaches around and like touches me on my shoulder, and I automatically become like so defensive because
Right,
like, dude, don't touch me.
right.
And it was kind of crazy because before my grandma passed, you know, she was my mom always jokes and says, yeah, you know, folks just say stuff like that when they get ready to die. But anyway, my grandma was just saying, you know, hey, you don't know when that moment gonna come where your dad is gonna not be there. And I'm kind of like, he's already absent. Like, he not there anyway. But I understood, and so I wanted to honor my grandma's wishes, and I called my dad and I was like, hey, you know, wanted to know if you wanted to probably meet up at lunch or something. And a red bird just flew by. Look at that. And he was like, yeah, sure. But he kept asking if my mom was going to come. And I thought that was kind of weird.
Mhm.
That he was asking if my mom was going to come. And we talked for a little while. We agreed to meet. So fast forward, we met. And he asked my mom, if she would tell me that the reason why we didn't have a relationship is because she didn't want me to, you know, spend any time with him. And that just really kind of crushed me that, you know, he asked my mom, would she tell me that the reason why we don't have a relationship is because she didn't want us to, like, he didn't even want to take accountability for, you know, not being there. We tried several times. 2 years ago, he came and spent the birthday with me, and he likes to drink, so it was not a very enjoyable experience.
Mhm.
I appreciated the effort, but I just could not.
I feel that. I think my biggest issue with even just recognizing I had accepted the fact that I had a father wound. I think the hardest part of was knowing how to knowing I had the father wound, but not sure on how to fix it. I feel like when I first started the journey, I didn't know what to do. And a lot of things just kind of seemed like, well, you want a relationship with your dad, so you gotta go make that relationship happen. Everything seemed like it was just kind of like, do it, do it, do it, do it. And it was just kind of like, but I don't want to. It wasn't anything that I wanted to do. It wasn't anything that I desired to do. I'm just kind of used to things just flowing onto me, right? So for me, it was really just taking a step back and really evaluating myself. Because fuck him, right? Fuck you, because you've lived your life already. You made your decisions. You've had your choices. Now it's time for me to make my choices. Now it's time for me to make my decisions. And I don't hate you. I revere you for everything that you were. Your absence, I revere you for that. Like, even in your presence, I would still give you the utmost respect. But as a grown woman, I understand, like, I can't allow you to play with me. I can't allow you to manipulate me in the way that you used to. And we were so, and even having conversations with my dad, we were so able to just really have good in-depth conversations where I was able to really just get to know him, like talk to him, like, don't view me as somebody that's your, don't talk to me like I'm your daughter. Just talk to me like I'm somebody you getting to know. But I mean, we still kept the we got the notion that I'm your blood, right? Because you sitting here looking at a fucking mirror, nigga. Let's talk about
I mean,
it.
sometimes I think that maybe I used to say that's what scares my dad is out of his 5 children. I'm the one who looks the most like him, and from birth, like he has denied that I was his. He did. He know. He was like, "Oh no, she's not mine. She don't look nothing like me." And then as growing up, and people would be, say, "Hey, you look just like your dad." Oh my God, is Willie your dad? And I was like, "Oh yeah." And after a while, I just started telling folks, "Look, please stop telling me that. I don't want to be reminded every day. I
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
see it, but I
It's a
want to
part
look
of
like
me.
me."
You gotta be able to accept what's you. When you look in the mirror, who you see? You see you, yes, of course. But
Listen,
there is a shadow work there is a shadow work activity that I did, because it was one of those things where I felt like I didn't know my dad's side. I didn't know my father's side. And so for me, it was really standing in the mirror and looking at myself, saying my name, understanding my features, looking at pictures, thinking of my mom, thinking of my dad. And that's when I understood you got to understand something, baby. From the moment you reach this planet, you got to understand you chose everything. You choose everything.
I know,
From
and
the
that's
moment you stepped
crazy
on this
too.
earth, you chose what the fuck you chose.
I be like, now why I told this?
You might be like that, but look what it's giving you. You might think that, but there's so much more to the pain. There's so much more to the struggle. Listen, if you tell God that you want strength, or you ask the universe for wisdom, they gonna test you with hardship. Or you are getting exactly what you asked for. And sometimes it seems like, dang, this so not in line with what I asked for.
Like, for
But
real. If you think about it on the bigger scale, it really do seem that way. And I be like, I know darn well I didn't just come here and choose this him. I just didn't do
yeah, I
but I
think
did notice just taking accountability that I would get hung up on the on the negative aspects. And like I said, that's why I said it took me a while and I'm still reflecting on what the lesson is because for so long I looked at myself as a victim, as, a person who just could not come out of this because for me, this is it. This is just how it's gonna be. But then when I learned to, become more self aware, it definitely gave me that different perspective. And so once I, kind of learned how to start navigating because it's definitely a process. And
no, that's not.
there's a lot of high waters going that way. So I had to learn how to navigate and I'm still learning, but to be more self aware and otherwise, I just keep being a victim, keep accepting that victimhood. That's all I can be. Is just like him. So I mean, I don't focus on how I'm like him. I focus on ways where I'm, myself. I mean, I still do address the ways that I have that are like his. But I try not to just be super focused or hyper focused on it now. And it's been helping. Why is he walking around with no shoes on?
People like to be barefoot, but I understand that for sure. But hey, I really appreciate you for coming back on and revisiting this with me. I do feel like we got more in depth into it, and we were able to talk about so much more. Cause I thought
Yay!
it was way more to it, and I felt like we had just only skimmed the surface. So thank you so much for running that back with me. I
Well,
really do
I'm
appreciate
definitely glad that you reached out and graced me with the opportunity to do so because I like to have in-depth conversations. I like those that are, where people are kind of scared to talk about certain things. So I appreciate you for welcoming me. I cannot stand that word. I never get it right. Creating that space, holding that space for me. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh yeah, most certainly. I think it's always good to talk to people who have encountered the same issues as you, because it's really a lot of ways where you can help see yourself, your reflection, the things that you probably dealing with and didn't even know. Because even when you were saying all that, I was like, God dang, that that probably stem from this too. That probably stem from that.
And that's
Like,
why I tell people it's a holistic. They be just focused on the spiritual. It's not this journey is not just all spiritual. This is a holistic journey. This is a journey where
yeah,
you're becoming aware of every aspect of
yeah.
who you are, not who people told you that you are.
Woo, that was my first podcast ever. Who told you you was naked? Who clothed your thoughts? Like, to me, that was my first podcast. And there's so many people who hit me up about that podcast all the time. But
We
I
definitely
feel
got to go back and revisit that.
I have to go back and listen to it, because once I do my podcast, I be having so many notebooks full of notes. I be like, I gotta go find them damn notes. Like,
When you
but
find it, definitely keep me posted
yeah, I'll keep you posted, and then
and send me
I'll
a
shoot you
clip.
a
Let me
message.
hear you got it.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a message and let you know. So I even send you over the first original clip of it. But I do.
Definitely, because I would love to take a listen and kind of give some, talk about that because it took a long time. So I don't want people whoever comes back to listen or who's currently listening to think that this was just like an overnight journey. Like I
Yeah.
started
It's more
Tuesday
than
and
that.
Wednesday I was healing. Oh no, baby, this has been ongoing for years. It's just that I'm just now starting to become aware of the traumas. I'm aware of the, you know what I'm saying, the fears, and hey, on the other side of fear is greatness now. So
Hey,
the other
let us
side
step
is
over into greatness.
once you move over, and this is just a little small promo, but like I changed my business to be the look in between, and people think that it's about like look, wealth, fortune. No, see, I was thinking more so along the lines of integrating myself into the business because I mean, without me, there would be no business, right?
I heard.
Um, so the Orange Moon Room allows for people to be in a safe haven where they can talk openly and freely and truthfully about everyday situations because hey, on the outside of that middle ground there's a positive, there's a negative, or there's a negative and there's another negative on the other side. But if you could come and find middle ground for you to see it from this perspective as well as for you to have your own perspectives. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
middle ground just kind of gives you somewhere safe to be. So that's kind of what gave me that business thing was kind of like
And
me.
it's called the Orange Room again. That's what you
Yep,
said?
like the little session is called the Orange Moon Room, but the
Okay.
business is the look in between.
The business is the look in between. You got a page and everything on Facebook for that?
Yep, I got a Facebook page now. It doesn't have a lot of people on it, but hey, that's cool because I'm
Listen,
not
we
for
don't care. You
everybody.
gotta build your audience, and
And I'm
then
doing it. See, I'm
don't
appreciating you.
don't forget to comment your rooms and your pages down below, your groups, whatever, because that way you gain more. You'll gain more. When the live is over, you'll be able to go through and tag whatever, whatever. I'll go through and tag you onto it this time. Cause I know I ain't tagged you the last time, but it just be posting. So I don't be having the opportunity to tag nobody. So
No, it's cool because I also need to start learning how to do it.
okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. I really do appreciate you. You're giving yourself more room to expand. Do you understand? And that's what healing does for you. It allows you to expand to places where you had deserted. And
Ooh,
you
talk
and
bad.
you really don't understand how much life is in the places that you deserted. So I wholeheartedly hope I don't hope. I know that you're going to get through all of this perfectly fine. And when you find
Oh,
that
indeed.
person,
Especially now that I've kind of, addressed those wounds and I'm
yeah,
not allowing for it to control me anymore. So I'm definitely ready for universe, do your thing.
it's gonna do it. Trust me.
Because
It's
you
gonna
gotta have
do
that
it.
Baduism type energy when you thinking about stuff like that. So come
The
on.
the saying is, I didn't bring you this far to not be prepared.
I feel.
And that's real. I didn't bring you this far to not be prepared. Everything that you need, you're already equipped with. Because of the struggles that you've been through, because of the life that you led, because of the experience that you had, you're already equipped for everything that you going. That's why you got the answer to every single one of your problems.
I
That's why you
should.
got the
I
solution to
feel
any
that.
business venture that you start. That's why you understand consistency. That's why you understand the dedication, the time, the attention that has to go into things. Because you're not it's not that you're not prepared. What fear is stopping you from stepping over into what you
Yes.
want to do?
And
So
I start building my little toolbox. And for those who need a toolbox, listen, this is it. I promise because I know it's time to about wrap this up. So
mhm.
in your toolbox, think about what you need, and I mean in every aspect for your emotions, for your mental, for your physical, for your spiritual, for your personal, for your financial, all aspects of yourself. Think about what you need and build that box, not for what you want, but for what you need. And you'll
No.
know what you need based on, like Desi just said, for what you've already been through. Those are your tools and resources Your mindset is a tool and a resource that you don't have to necessarily place into a space because it's already where it needs to be. But in order for you to move through this, and I'm not saying that challenges won't be present, it'll just be that you can go into that handy dandy
Ooh,
toolbox
God.
and get what you need.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know,
that.
so build your spirit, build your toolbox so that you are equipped for what's upcoming. And hey, build that toolbox off what you need and not what it is that you want. Because what you need is way greater than what it is that you want. Your wants are going to be met based on which how you handle these needs.
Yeah, you got to move intentionally.
Oh
So,
yes, all the time. Oh yes, ma'am.
okay. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. It's been so good talking to you again, for real, for real. So, I
Yes,
do appreciate you
ma'am.
for joining the immersive experience. And you have a good night, ma'am.
You do the same. Gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.